Welcome to Ramble On, counseling reflections on life and love, brought to you by Rambler Counseling NL. Hi, Lucy here. Welcome to another episode of Ramble On. Just having some morning coffee and listening to the wind howling outside. Today's topic is men's mental health. And this is something that really pulls at my heartstrings, and it's something I'm very passionate about. Someone asked me the other day, do you counsel men? Of course, I absolutely counsel men. Most of my clients are women. However, I do have, I've worked with a couple male clients so far. Briefly, I would love to work with more male clients. Men's mental health is an area that is just really lacking in support and resources and awareness. I know things have gotten better over the years, and we have Men's Mental Health Month, and the government of Canada is stepping up and doing a lot of things with awareness pieces, which is great. But men's mental health is something we need to talk about more often, and the reason being, it is still a struggle, especially for, I would say, the age group of 35 plus. The struggle is to reach out for help. Men really struggle with reaching out to seek support. Women have a way of, we're very good communicators. We work in circles of friendships, and we have a way of talking to each other, and it's sort of more societally acceptable to reach out for help and get support. But for men, it's still often seen as a weakness if you need help, which is terrible. So, just a few statistics to start off. This is a little bit alarming, but here in Canada, 75% of suicide deaths are men. So we have a rate of 3 times more men than women who are suffering from death by suicide. And this is telling us that they're not reaching out for the support that they need, that they're suffering in silence, that, depression, anxiety, those things, mental health, mental illness, they're not getting the support that they need. So why are they not reaching out? We've been raised in a world where women are seen as dramatic and emotional, and men are not, which is a societal conditioning. It's a perception. It's not what's real. We're all human, males and females. We all experience deep emotions. And quite often, especially at young ages, men are raised to suppress those emotions. And they're told, if you cry, you're not tough. If you feel sadness, you're weak. And the biggest struggle they have is actually even just identifying what the emotion is, or identifying where it's coming from. I have a lot of beautiful, lovely male friends, and we talk quite a bit. And most recently, I did have a friend who is seeking support from another counselor. I can't, obviously there's a conflict of interest. I cannot counsel my friends. It's not something I do. But he was struggling, really struggling with depression. And we had many conversations around this, and he was seeking support, which I'm thrilled about. But I asked him, I said, do you talk to your male friends about what's happening? And he's like, no, not really. They don't really talk in their circle about deeper things. It's more superficial, like, what's going on in the world. And they talk about sports, and they talk about fun things, and they keep it light. So in the male circles generally, and again, I'm just generalizing. I know there are individuals who are better at it than others. But women have a way of, in their circles, speaking a little bit deeper, getting into our feelings, getting into the reasons why, and like really supporting each other emotionally, whereas typically men don't. So where do they get their support? Sometimes they don't get any support. They internalize it all, and they suppress it, and they keep it inside. And what that leads to quite often is, they lean on addictions quite often, alcohol, drugs, because they're getting that little good feeling, that dopamine hit. And when you hold all those emotions in your body for such a long time, while it's a survival mechanism for the short term to suppress those feelings and get through the moment, over the long term, those feelings stored in your body and those emotions lead to overwhelm, anxiety, depression, addictions, struggles in relationships, difficulty communicating how you're feeling, conflicts, just a whole lot of negative outcomes. And so I like to think that at Rambler Counseling NL, and I like to think most counselors will be, what our goal is to create a space where men feel safe reaching out for help. It's a non-judgmental, neutral zone where we can just tease out what's happening. I don't expect a man to know what's going on with them, but if they're not feeling well and it's impacting their life in any way negatively, that's something we can look at. We can tease out what's happening. We can tease out those feelings. We can pull those emotions out and talk about it, and then come up with strategies to cope. A lot of times it's just really truly having a space to talk about how they're feeling and to actually sit in the feeling, because it's about permission to have those feelings, and permission to say it's not shameful to be sad. It's not shameful to be mad. Anger is also an emotion that is often looked at as a negative thing, especially with men. But it's really just about, how you treat the anger. Obviously, violence and outward anger is never acceptable, but it's okay to acknowledge anger and to feel it and to feel the sadness and to feel that depression. The first step is quite often just sitting in those feelings and going, yeah, this is where I am. This is how I'm feeling. Grief is a big one as we get older and our parents get older, and some of us have lost our parents. The grief can be really hard to work through, and men in particular who don't have an avenue to talk about it can really struggle with that one as well. So what I'd like to say is, men are not emotionally shut down by nature. They are human. We are all human. It's unfortunate that society has conditioned them quite often to not have permission to feel these feelings. I like to think I create a space where we can. Just that, there's so many studies on this. There's actually a term that they talk about in the science journals and psychology journals called normative male alexithymia. And it's widely studied actually in a lot of high performance athletes who are now older. And what they've learned is not only do they struggle with feeling emotions or feeling like the shame and the guilt over the feeling like they're weak, but they literally cannot identify the emotion in their body. They don't know what's happening. They cannot articulate what it is. They just know that it doesn't feel good. They don't have the words. They don't have the knowledge, again, permission. It's all suppressed. So it's called normative male sorry, um, normative male alexithymia. A very interesting topic if you're willing to look it up. So just to clue off, again, I welcome male clients. Growth is possible. Change is possible. We can work through it together. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. For more information or to book an appointment, check out ramblercounselingnl.ca or click on the booking links in my Instagram and Facebook bios. See you soon.